You're checking this massive freaking machine out, man. Yeah, just what I thought. This is where the thing was sitting, right there. And it's hydraulic fluid and grease. More hydraulic fluid. More hydraulic fluid. And man, the smell of hydraulic fluid. So whatever leaked out of those big old massive hoses up there, all leaked out right there. And look at the heavy grease. Man. And you can see it sprayed out, you know. And you're talking about heavy grease and shit. Look at that down in there. Look at all that heavy grease. They stick these down in our waterways and in our wetlands. And look at this shit. There's a little Zerbert for greasing the thing. And then when this shit all falls off, it's big chunks of heavy grease. And I wish I had a smellophone, because all of that shit is from where shit was leaking. All of this sand that's stuck is from where the grease and hydraulic fluids leak. This is freaking crazy. You know, how these things travel through our wetlands. And the rag, the grease rag. And look at all that, man. All them hoses and all that sand is stuck to it because grease and hydraulic fluid and shit makes the sand stick to it. And this is all sitting in what was once a wetland. That's all wetland out there. Trust me, this was deeper than that wetland. It's just all been filled in. Crazy. What we have done. But this is totally unacceptable. They just brought this machine in 2 days ago. And they bring it out here and immediately start doing maintenance work and service work on it. I mean, look at them massive pistons. How much hydraulic fluid does it take just to fill up one of those pistons? And even these little pieces of grease, I mean, that shit don't go away, man. That's heavy grease. Who knows what's in it? This is crazy. And you know, they pull their little rubber gloves off, and these big chunks, sand and grease mixed together. Oh man, look at this. You know, this is all sloppy ass heavy grease everywhere. And they undoubtedly pulled a piston apart. And look at all this shit. So undoubtedly that boom, the arm, was over here when they started. Look at this. Look at this shit. And yeah, this whole, man, I'm standing in a whole bunch of spray. You know, all them little dots is where it's sprayed everywhere. And it sprayed all out in there. And then some little piston, because that's the inside of one of those hydraulic cylinders. And look at this, they just throw it down on the ground, covered in heavy grease, and all of this is hydraulic fluid, man. And all of this is covered in hydraulic fluid. Now they have thrown some dirt down in there to cover shit up, but all of this is covered in grease, man. This is where the maintenance truck was backed in. You know, it had the welder and all the grease and fittings and tools. And we wonder why our water's contaminated, and like disease, illness, and disorder has risen. Because they're out here in a wetland with huge, I mean, this thing is huge. It's a 38.5B. It's just one massive freaking backhoe, track hoe. The big diesel cats running through our wetlands. And this is where they choose to work on it. Can't do it at a shop, at a place where they actually may be able to contain all this shit. Man, this freaks me out that this is happening. And I would bet these dark spots, you know, I mean, you can tell by the shape of that, that's some kind of fluid that ran out of the guy's truck. It's not water. So how much of this shit? I mean, the other day I was out there videotaping and I found two 55-gallon drums of hydraulic fluid. And what is this? You know, is this the place that you undo the cap or pull the top off and throw it over here? Unbelievable, man. No regard to that we have wells. You know, private drinking water wells. Unbelievable. I mean, that's one huge freaking track hoe. And they bring it out here to do their service and maintenance and repair work. If it was on a truck, they could have taken it to a shop. But no, that would cost them more. And I'm serious, you can look between them two pine trees right there. There's my buddy's well. Not that far away. And you see how all this drops off to that silk fencing? Yeah, well, where I'm standing was down there at one time. Was at that elevation. And every piece of equipment they've brought out that I have gotten to take a look at, all is leaking fluid. Now, I'm not out here every day, don't have the time for that. But you would think the county might have the time because they approved this shit. Wow. Building homes on top of a wetland, put in your backyard. I mean, this stuff's going to end up in somebody's backyard or front yard. So when your kid goes out to play in the yard, like I did, digging in the sand, you might be digging through shit like that. Childhood cancer rates, how high are they? Children shouldn't have cancer, man. See, even this right here, it's got strange colors and it's a little bit clumpy, man. And I'm just telling you, I've been working this type of stuff for a long time. I ran heavy equipment. You know, this stuff is peat moss, you know, from the wetland. You know, it's got roots sticking out of it. The darkness is because it's from the wetlands. And look at how much it's filled. You know, I'm 5'6", so I'm going to stand down here where the elevation once was. I'm going to say they filled 6 foot of fill in a wetland. And they did this as a phased development. They built phase 1 about 20 years ago, and all the excess dirt from digging what they call their retention pond, stormwater, flood control, whatever they want to call it, and they stored it back here. And 20 years later, it didn't look like a wetland anymore. It had pine trees and everything growing on it. They remove all that, and here we got it. More equipment leaking hydraulic fluid, because I'll bet you the first equipment that brought this excess sand in was leaking fluid too. Never ending. And every action has a reaction. Because I swear these dark spots where they back drag could be anything in it. Anyway, it's Mitch Allen. We can. Remember, together we can do more, because this shit's got to stop. These guys got to be held accountable for not maintaining their machinery. And when it's on a trailer and it needs repair, you take it to a shop, not a wetland.